Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. This is Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're going to interview professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, on how they got to where they're at today, and zooming from the beautiful island. Well, you're not there now, but you live in Miami, right?
Yes,
This
sir.
is Pablo. Do me a favor. He just came from the AEA or UAE, and he's a telecom expert. Could you do me a favor, Pablo? Say hi to everybody and just explain what you do, really.
Well, thank you, Mike, and good morning, good evening, everyone. Pleasure being here with you. And absolutely, I'm a professional in the telecom space and technology, being in the business for 30 years. But as we discussed prior to this opening, I just came from the UAE. I was 2 years in Dubai, running an international business for EN Group. And then I'm back into Miami now to continue the international expansion for the group. So very happy to be here.
Nice. Thank you for all that. Listen, tell me about the AEU comparison to the United States. I've only been to Italy and Japan, and I haven't been there for any period of time. Comparatively speaking, how is Dubai in comparison to the United States, the good and bad?
Oh, that's a great question. To be honest with you, it was as a personal decision. We were with my wife. We're retiring after a long time in corporate America, so we moved to the U.S. back in '97. And being appointed in different part of the world, China, I was living there for a couple of years, and then Europe, Latin America, and then this part of the world was something that it was always in my mind, because you read the news and say how is that part of the world, but also the what we call the Gulf countries, right? Everything that goes around the Persian Gulf.
Right.
And when I retired, a friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, I know that you're out. Do you want to come back in?" And then it was interesting because my wife is actually Jewish. I said, "Okay, can we go there and then you be okay with that and make sure that it's going to be a safe and a good environment?" And it was a great experience. That part of the world is moving at a different speed. I can tell you that it is a different setup in terms of politics, religion, and how they see the order of things. But the focus on technology is massive. So all of those countries, if you recall that part of the world, you got the Emirates, you got Saudi, which is the largest part of that region. You got Oman, you got Kuwait, Bahrain. All those countries are well known because of the oil economy driven. But now everyone pivoted into technology. So Dubai itself, oil is probably the third or fourth source of income for the country.
Not even second.
There exactly. It's more real estate, it's tourism. They became a hub for the whole not only Middle East but Africa and Asia. So Emirates Airline is well known because of that concept of having. And they saw that years ago. I mean, the last time I was down there was 2013, and you will not recognize the city. If you
Really?
ever, it's an amazing. The pace of evolution is really second to none. I've never seen something like that in the and actually I will say the way that set up priorities of the country and say, okay, I need the best resources, and they acquire those. I need I need to know how to create drinking water out of the ocean, and they got the best technology and they bring it in, or they make rain through different artificial
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard they got flooded. I heard they got flooded. They
get flooded sometimes because they overshoot that. So when you look at how they approach technology is and the way that they want to see themselves as leading the region, so they're competing with the other countries very closely. So if somebody announced something, most likely 1 week later the other country will come after and then try to compete on. For example, AI is a big item now. Artificial intelligence is all over the agenda for these countries. And again, the concept of being a hub is what drives investment in fiber optics, in submarine systems, in actually data center capabilities, which you need energy, you need water. So there's a lot of stuff that will make them very competitive in this new landscape.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's an amazing culture.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I haven't been there yet. Is it a good place to visit?
It is. It is. I thought you're based in Florida as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I was, and then Hurricane Helene flooded my house, and then in the
Oh,
process, yeah, I had to move out. My wife wasn't happy, and then we started fixing it back up. And my wife said, I'm moving to South Carolina, and I kind of
okay.
like my wife, and she does a lot for me. So I said, I guess I'm moving to South Carolina too. So now we're based in South Carolina, but 6 months ago we were in Florida, and the beauty of all of it is my son's going to make me a grandfather, and he lives 5 minutes
Oh, okay.
away now.
Okay, perfect.
So,
Congratulations.
so thank you.
Awesome.
So it worked out well, but I do miss the warmth. I do miss the warmth.
It is. But if you want to try it, and again, it's probably from Miami, 16 hours, 14 and a half, depending on the winds, but you can get there in one shot,
One
and I
tank.
would recommend it.
We were talking off camera about airplanes. So I think
Yeah.
the audience doesn't know what we were talking about. So I'm a airplane enthusiast. Pablo is an actual pilot. So he's talking about chartering or renting a plane and flying from South Carolina to Florida to Miami. That might be a cool idea. It's a great
That
idea.
would be a good idea. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
awesome. So how long have you been a pilot?
No, I did the training back in 2015. It's 10 years by now.
Yeah.
More general aviation. So it was a hobby. I spent too many hours in the air in my job. And I met one of my colleagues was a pilot. He was a retired British Airways pilot, and he said my headquarters was in Tampa, so we start flying back and forth from Miami. He was doing the flying from Boca Raton,
Yeah.
and then yeah, he had a great airplane. He says zeros 21, and then I said, okay, you know what, I like to start flying. And he gave me the controls for most of the flight. I did not take off or land. And then I started doing I said, okay, I'll do the training. And then start flying a single engine for that period of time. And then obviously you need time. You need to, do this frequently in order not to lose your skills. As you get older, you're losing reflexes, you're losing the muscle memory. So that's why you need to go through medical checkups every year to make sure that you're available. So I've not been flying for a while now, but I loved it. And I ride motorcycles. So I was doing the motorcycle to the airport and then flying the airplane. It's just this sense of freedom that thing gives you. It's an amazing thing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we're the same person in different bodies. I got to interview a doctor. I think you saw the
Yeah,
episode
I heard
a
that
few
talk.
episodes ago, and he was telling me about his job is just keep you pilots in the air.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And
And there are not that many, to be honest with you. I think there's a shortage. You hear the airlines complaining about that. There's not enough supply of pilots getting it.
I
So
I got a quick
they're trying to
question.
extend the life cycle of the existing pilots to fly more, but the pipeline is not there. Yeah.
I got a quick question for you. So, from what I understand about pilots or airplanes, the bigger the airplanes, the less a pilot's needed. And those big commercial airplanes, how much intervention does the pilot really need?
That's a great question. I heard also that eventually AI will take over that function. I don't
It's
see that
close
happening.
now.
It
It's close.
is, but
I talked to a couple pilots. I said, "Could you take off and land by pushing buttons?" They're like, "Yes."
yes, they
And I
can.
went
But do you
because there's
want that? Do you want 250 people in the back? So that will never
who's going to
happen.
buy the ticket is
Yeah,
the real
exactly.
question.
Are you going to sit down in an airplane that nobody's in the cockpit?
But I don't think people. I don't think. Yeah, right. The backup system's a human. I hate to say that, but you know about the
Yeah.
windows that they have in space, in virtual space, where the plane
Oh,
tries
yeah,
to go
yeah.
through those windows. Isn't that the coolest thing ever?
It is.
It
And
is
again,
like
they do, the airplane itself can, for bad weather conditions, it can land itself. You just get the right vectors and it will land. But at
They,
the end, if you're when you fly, if you're flying in the front end, if you hear this little sound when it's like 5 miles out, is a titty titty. If you remember that sound from the cockpit,
yep.
that
Mhm.
means that they disengage the autopilot and they start flying themselves
Oh,
because you
that's what
don't
it
want to
meant.
lose the muscle memory. You don't want to lose the control of the airplane. But five
The
miles
fighters,
into the landing, that's when they take over.
the fighter jet that I flew, we didn't. I swear, I don't think we used autopilot at all. At
No.
all. We were hands on trying to. I was trying to stretch the limits of the airplane, and the guy that owned the plane was like, "No, stop,
Yeah,
stop."
yeah.
I tried to invert for a little bit. I was doing a 4 point. So then in the
That's
second
crazy. I don't
position,
know how
I
to
was
do that.
just holding it for a minute because I wanted to fly inverted, and he goes, "Keep going." I'm like, "All right." So I was getting kind of yelled at by the pilot, but it was a great experience.
It is.
Um,
It's amazing.
in telecommunication, I know one thing and one thing only is there's a lot of competition in what you guys do. What sets you apart? What comes easy to you that's a challenge to other people?
You mean myself or the company I work for?
You. So
Me.
what you do for the company that most people can't do, and what's easy to you?
Wow, that's a great question.
Thank you.
It feels like a job interview, but I can tell you one thing. No,
You got the job.
I got the job. So, but no, what actually brings myself to that different share or the concept of being different is I was is a cross-cultural mindset since I've been dealing with so many multiple environments, cultures, and that's why I took this last job in the UAE is your collateral view of everything. When you approach a problem, some people tends to be linear in the approach. Some people tend to be, I was trained on doing things this way, but you learn in China one way, then you go to the Middle East, and then you went to
Yeah.
Europe, and then you go into Latin America where things are not available, resources are not that easy to acquire. You got to start thinking on your side. And I always do the test of the elevator. If you go in the US, you click on the elevator and you see the reaction. People just not, the elevator is not coming. They push the button 3 times and then they call maintenance. You go to Latin America and then you push twice. It's not coming. You just take the stairs. You don't even call maintenance because you know it's not going to be fixed. And so that mindset is the approach on problems with work related. When they say, okay, so no resources, no money, no people to fix this, what else? And I think that sets you apart because of the exposure to multiple environments and ways to do things.
So
Um,
problem solving is probably your greatest skill set, right?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I come with more creative ways to get approached or approach problems in solving them, and that when it happened to me in different layers with board meetings, with normal meetings or operational meetings, or with your own team when there's a conflict between team members. I think the approach sets apart.
Well, yours is international, so it's a little bit harder. Problem with team, you got different cultures that you have to contend with, so you got to be the intermediary in
Well,
those
I got in
cultures.
the UAE, I got 10 different countries that I'm
Oh,
supervising. I
there you
got
go.
10 from them, and then religion is another aspect, right?
Yep.
We used to have meetings where people stop and go to pray, then come back, and then you keep going with the meeting. And
Hmm.
then the concept of hierarchy, the distance between management
Labor.
and layer, exactly. So some people respect that, some people don't respect that. And the US is different, right? It's more management has to be earned, not because you're in an org chart that give you the right
It's
to
your
the
org
order.
chart.
Right, exactly. So you got to be conscious of that approach when you coach people, and everyone is fighting a battle. So when you coach, you got to know that for sure.
Gotcha.
And the approach is different. People react to pressure in different ways. Again,
Oh, I
same
agree wholeheartedly.
same collateral view of the problem. Right?
We're in when I was in construction, I was dealing with mostly men. What surprised me the most, how many feelings I had to deal with dealing with men,
Oh yeah, yeah. And
right?
you
It
know
was
that. Yeah.
I thought, growing up brothers, here's how we solve problems, so I thought that's how we solve problems in dealing with men, and it didn't work out that way. Feelings and this and that, and it was a tough job building buildings.
No, and you brought a good point. In another example, back in the UAE, we when I took over, the mix of talent was it was mainly male, and I said, okay, I think we're going to make some changes here in terms of the setup, right? And then we brought more female into the equation. We balanced 50-50. And then I started bringing millennials and Gen Zs into the equation. So everyone thought, oh, this is going to be a mess. And my team is the top performing team.
Nice.
And because of that, mix
Diversity.
of talent, oh, you got to see them in motion when, Gen Zs are challenging things that, hey, it's been there for forever. What are you going to change it? Especially in an industry like telecom. And that perspective with also the female approach, and then the age, and then the country background. So you mix those four and you get a high performing team.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll never forget. I was talking to one older guy that's been doing what I forgot what we were doing, but I was showing him my way of doing it. And I was the new kid. The new kid. And he goes, I've been doing it this way for 30 years. And I go, what if you've been doing it wrong for 30 years?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he sort of looked at me and goes, oh, that's a good point.
Oh, they come back and say that will never work. So why? And
Let's
then
try
the
it.
answer is not clear. I said, well, because we have done this forever. I said, well, it's not. AI is, when I graduated from engineering, the mobile phone did not exist. I was in 93.
Right.
It was still a concept. It was coming up. Even
In
the iPhone
93,
did
you're
not.
talking about the bag phone. That's what this is what people nowadays don't even understand. It was the
So
bag phone.
how come you become
So,
an engineer and work on things that you will not train on? So
right.
that requires some shift, right?
Yeah, it does. I agree wholeheartedly. Hey, listen, everybody's had challenges in their life. Let's talk about personally and professionally. What is one of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome?
Great question. I think
I'm going to make
personally,
you think on this one.
no, yeah, you made me think. Personally, my wife went into a health issue that was pretty scary,
Yeah.
and that put the whole family to a different framework of mind. Um, Before she did it, her dad actually got sick, so we moved from the U.S. the family back to Argentina to spend the last 6 months of his life. So we have to make a change, radical change, to be together and then be with them. And then left everything, left our life there, our jobs to be there. And then she got sick. So that was the most challenging, I will say, part of my personal life. And we handle it as a family. So my wife is my sweetheart from school. So we remained together, and then went through that process. And I think from the professional life, I went through Chapter 11 process that was brutal. I worked for Global Crossing, and then 6 months into the job, the company went belly up because we overspent, or we got into much debt into fiber capacity, submarine capacity. They were a pioneer in building subsea systems, and then 6 months in, we filed for Chapter 11. So I have to run the business, reporting to a judge instead of a CEO, and then making sure
Wow.
that we kept the assets going and keeping the company as a viable entity. So that was a huge challenge. I was too young. I was back in, I think I was 30 years old, and running up.
What year was this?
That was 2001.
Okay. Yeah, that's when we went to war, so that was a
Yeah,
tough time.
exactly. After everything happened there, exactly. That was the time, and the whole industry was in shambles. So Telecom lost 600,000 jobs, and we knew that things will get really nasty, and the company went belly up. But 18 months later, we succeeded. We brought it back up,
Oh,
and
you're the one that brought the
yeah,
company back online.
we have to let go 65% of the headcount.
Workforce.
workforce, and then keep it running, and then obviously convince the judge and everyone that it was a viable entity, which it was. Because I mean, those were assets that nobody else had. It's just a matter of refinancing the debt and getting sure everything came back, and we did
Oh,
it.
good
So
job. Good job on that. It's not easy.
no, I know, but that was a challenging time. So now you put.
It's
That's why I thought that question. So well, I'm 57 now, so that you go back in time, you find those.
gotcha. Gotcha. Sounds like things are going pretty well for you in your business. And looking forward to the future is talk about retirement too. How have you created passive income and investing in your future? Obviously, for you and me, we're looking towards retirement.
Um, we approach in a couple of ways. One is definitely not in the stock exchange. I got some type of we get some part of that into the stock, but very conservative. As you grow older, you don't have that much room to recover if something goes south. So if even in that portfolio part, we kept a lot into bonds or money market type of investments, safe bet for income, fixed income,
Mhm.
and then real estate. Real estate is working for us quite
Good.
well.
Well, that's what I
So
wanted to talk about. What kind of real estate did you play with?
we do rental. That's my wife. She's the one managing all that part, but she's doing a great job. It's just every the configuration is for 1-1 or 1-2s, very easy to move, low maintenance type of layout. And then keeping what we did is we kept that community close, and then we provided them as they grew as a family. So we started with 1-1s, and then 1-2s, and then 2-2s, so we can
Nice.
get them into the process if they like the way that we serve them. And my wife is very good at that, just getting things, when they need it, quite quick fixes, everything set up. They stay with us for a long time instead of transactional business, more long term, right? So when they grow the family, had a kid, they stay with us through the process. If they're a good tenant,
That's awesome. If
right?
they're good, yeah. See, that's the beauty of
If
it. You
they're a
get to
good
weed
tenant,
out.
yeah.
You get to
They
weed
don't
out the
want
ones
a
you
bad
don't
tenant.
want.
But
So,
it works.
if you don't mind me asking, how many houses do you have?
I got, I will say the double digits without telling you exactly,
Nice,
but yeah, we're
nice.
doing well.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
Um, here's a big one for you. So, with your experience coming into the end of your career, not your life, into your career, if you could do, if you could go back in time to your 20s, what would you do differently, and what would you do the same?
Um, I will probably go and choose the same career. I will be an engineer. Probably a different type of engineering, because the way that the world is moving, we used to have 10 different type of engineers. Now it's like 30, 40. So you got renewable energy type of engineering. I will probably go more into technology, more into AI, as I would probably shift that. I I would, I honestly am very happy with my life. I wouldn't change a bit of the decision I made and what we did as a family, as a group. I think probably travel a little bit less, spend more time with the kids, which is the normal. I think everyone goes to this stage in your life and say, I should have spent more time there. But it is what it is. I mean, you're building your family, you're building your nest. You're trying to give them the best options in terms of education and everything. So it is what it is. But that will be the only, I will say, change that I'll do. In that age of 20s, I also had the option to play professional soccer. So and I did not take that route. I decided to go into engineering because my position, I was a goalkeeper, and they always told me I was playing in fourth division in Argentina, basically, and the chances to make a very good goalkeeper and make money out of that, and it was because it's only 1 out of 11, right? And they
Mhm.
rarely injure, so to get your spot to go in. And I
Are
said,
you serious? Goalies were rarely injured. That's the target, for
they're
God's
not
sakes.
that much injured. I mean, they tend
Really?
to, even they play until they're 40, 44. I mean, some cases I've seen.
I
Luigi
gotcha.
Buffon, and in Italy, he played until he was 45, I think. And then,
You don't have a lot of cardio. You don't have a
yeah,
lot of cardio
but
at
you don't have that
school.
many options. If you're a defender, you got 4 positions you can play. I mean, if you're a midfield, you can
Offense, you
play
got another
different.
4, yeah. Yeah, it
But
makes
there's only
sense.
one, right? If you're not the main one, then your career is probably not there. And then you can wait until something happens. But goalkeepers normally are not as well paid. But that's made me to eventually pivot into engineering.
Gotcha. Well, you're smart enough to take the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play soccer too. We're kind of the same people here. Fly
Yeah.
airplanes and played soccer. I wasn't any good, and I could never be anywhere near a professional. I had a friend of mine that could have went pro, and I just watched him. We were running one time to get onto a called the Bonanza League, where it was a travel league, and we started running. He goes, "I'll see you later," and he just lapped me, man. Running around the school,
You
the
run
guy
a lot.
lapped me.
You run a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of guys that had super talent. Hey, listen, Pablo, I can't thank you enough. It was awesome. Oh, wait, one more quick question. Wrapping up. So, what do you got planned for the next 6 to 12 months? What is your company, working on? What's your next thing? Is a lot of people are saying AI?
AI is definitely the company work for. They're pivoting from telecom into technology. So that pivot means different things for different people. But for us, is using that capacity that we have from connectivity and everything into leveraging AI. I believe that there's going to be a different changes in that consumption model from the big hyperscalers like Microsoft, like Amazon, and so on.
Google, OpenAI.
Google, these guys will continue to drive growth, but the baseline of consumption, energy, water, in terms of data center and then fiber optics will be needed. So we're here to support that growth and expand internationally. I'm responsible now for the expansion of the group outside of the UAE. We just opened Miami as an office, opening Johannesburg next month, and then we got London and Singapore open. So, exposing more and more the brand to international players. That's what
Beautiful. What's your company's name?
it's called. E-and is the letter E, and that symbol, the ampersand symbol. E-and or Etisalat Group is called in the UAE.
Nice, beautiful.
Yep.
Hey, we're gonna let everybody go real soon, but wondering if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I think LinkedIn is one way. Yeah, I think you put my information there. They can ping me and reach out through that tool. I check that quite frequently, and that will be the best way. So I have over 6,000 contacts. We can connect there. I keep that nurtured. So absolutely.
Beautiful. Hey, thanks again for the interview. We do appreciate it. Thanks for your time and your experience. And hey, listen, we're gonna say goodbye to everybody. So thank you very much for watching or listening, depending on what you're doing. And if you'd like to contact Pablo, please do on LinkedIn. And you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.